Hey everyone, Erin. So I thought I would record in the studio, even though it's a little echoey. So hopefully it won't translate too terribly to a podcast. But I just got done with my yoga practice and I felt very settled in the sun studio. If you're watching the video, you can see my yoga mat in the background. And if you've never seen my studio, this is the sun. And the moon studio is a little bit more feminine. This one has like brighter colors. Anyways, I wanted to share a little snippet about some inner work that I've been doing. I've been working very intimately with the drama triangle, which is composed of 3 different parts. And there's an antidote to the drama triangle, which I'll talk about in a moment. But there's victim, like victimhood or victim mindset is very helpless. It's a state that we all embody at some point. And if we think about the reason why, it's like, well, the victim gets sympathy. The victim, people might take their side more. The victim has also done nothing wrong, right? So there's no accountability there. And so thus you're powerless. Next part of the triangle that people usually go into is persecutor. So persecutor is, usually stems from victim, then goes into persecutor. So persecutor is like, judging, blaming, kind of attacking the person outside of them, right? Like you hurt me, like how dare you? Like it's like victim, but like more fiery and kind of like blaming all their problems on another person. So whereas victim is like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong, not necessarily blaming, but like powerless. Like the persecutor is like, you're the enemy, like you're doing everything wrong. And so that's what it transforms into. Another aspect of the drama triangle is the rescuer, person that commits acts of violence by helping people too much, which, let that simmer in your brain for a moment, but it's true. If you constantly rush in to fix somebody else's problems, you take away their power, right? And in that moment, a lot of times we do it for selfish reasons. We could say that, I don't want to see you suffer. Well, why? Why is suffering bad? Like, there's unnecessary suffering, but then there's like necessary growth suffering, and those are lessons. So, who the hell are we to take that away from someone? Which I get easier said than done, especially in romantic relationships, especially in, with family triggers. But this is, these are universal truths I'm sharing with you that I work on, not perfectly, but I work on them. I'm aware, and so I share them with you. So my recent work has been around being a victim. I've had these sort of like uprisings of anger, which I guess like unchecked could be my pattern. But is like anger, that had some truth to it, right? There was some annoyance, some irritation, and I was just taking it to like some next level shit, like just completely infuriated, like meltdown level about like house chores, like something that does not warrant that type of response. Unfortunately, my partner kind of got the brunt end of that. And so just coming on as a podcaster, as someone who is, vulnerable, and I like to share my humanness. Like that's a very true thing about me that I'm not super proud of, that, isn't the most flattering. But it's, I'm human and I'm working on it and I'm aware. So that's my little disclaimer. And honestly, I don't feel bad about it, because I know that I'm working on it. So, so I had like lashing out anger, like just saying like very, very like not nice things to my partner. And, I was like trying to figure this out, like asking myself like, Erin, why are you so mad about this? And just like, because, it was like really hard to reason with myself there for a little while. I had gone to an Ayurvedic doctor, which I recorded a podcast last week about that. And there's a lot of stuff going on inside of me that could definitely sort of like fan the flames a little bit, but I don't like to blame any of those things on that, because I think that then it's like shrugging your responsibility. Not that I'm not being compassionate, but like that definitely probably amped it up a bit and maybe turned up the volume, but there is another answer. So the connection of the drama triangle and my anger. So I don't like being a victim, right? It's just like I'm very empowered in a lot of areas of my life in a lot of ways. And for me, rather than stay in victim mindset, I would immediately go into persecutor, which is like fight back, how dare you, martial artist, like angry Erin. The reason I was so mad is because for a few weeks there, and maybe, and I would say definitely threaded through my life in more subtle ways that I'm now becoming aware of, certain parts of my life felt like it was happening to me. Meaning like certain things were like, if something went wrong, it was happening to me. If somebody didn't do something that I thought they should, it was happening to me. Does that make sense? So for example, if somebody, didn't eat healthy food or something like that, let's say my romantic partner, I would think he's doing that to me, right? And you can see how you take that very personal. And what do you want to do? You want to control. You want to keep pressing that person. You want to, because you're trying to control them because you think they're doing it to you. And how dare them, right? So it's like, now that I'm talking about it, it's like, wow, it's so clear. And it's like off of my shoulders and I feel like so light. But during it, it just, in my mind, it was justified, made perfect sense. It's like, you want to have a life together, you want to be with me. Like you're not even eating vegetables. Like it's just, it was over the top. It was ridiculous. Whereas it's like, not like those things aren't some concern, to talk about, but like not in the way that I was doing. I was like yelling and, getting so upset about it. Whereas like, maybe we talk and find a solution. So that would be the antidote for the persecutor, which is the challenger. Challenge the situation. So it's like, okay, like just so you know, my intention, I'm coming from a place of love. And, I would like it, if we could do this together. I have a need for security. I have a need for reassurance, like, something like that might be a lot better rather than just like, you're doing this to me and how could you, and you didn't eat that broccoli. And I'm exaggerating a point anyways. So I wanted to share this because by becoming aware of that, and seeing how it threads in my life. Like I recently had a student that didn't pay back the rest of their yoga teacher training tuition. And I felt like such a victim. I felt like I did so much for you. Like I poured my heart out and how could you do this to me, right? And I was just like stewing in that for like so long, to the point where I wanted to take legal action. And, there's some business people on here that might be like, well, yeah, you should, but it's like how much mental real estate it was taking up in my head. It was not like that. I could have handled it better, compartmentalized it better, and or switched my mindset. It's like it took it from a small flame to like all consuming, if that makes sense. Hopefully you're picking up on what I'm putting down. So, I like taking a step back from that, and rather than being the victim, like just looking at it now as like, that has nothing to do with you, Erin. Like if they're not doing that, like that has nothing to do with like your character, anything that you did wrong. So that's step one. Step two is, how did that happen? There's certain systems that we've had that have been a little unorganized as far as collecting payment. And so like, how did that person graduate without getting, paying off their final tuition, right? So boundaries put in place, systems put in place. So for me, it's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, because this was a learning lesson for me. It's like, people have to pay in full before they finish the course. Of course they do, because otherwise, who knows what would happen. So switching it from, just the person, like, how dare you, to challenging the situation. What could I do better? What can we change here so that this doesn't happen again? How can we have better communication, right? There was some communication. My communication skills have like skyrocketed in the last few years, but there's always ways that you can improve. So that's just an example of how this mindset was poisoning my personal relationship, as well as like some of the things that were happening in my life. And there was other things, like, I'll give you one more example. I was meditating this morning in my bed and, I was like, I just got settled. Like, it's like I'm holding my like warm lemon water and breathing, and the fucking long guys, and I was like, motherfucker. And I sat there and I felt the heat rise. And like to the point where it was like vibrating really high. I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna explode. And then I caught myself and said, hey, are you a victim here? Are you making yourself into a victim? And I took a few breaths so that I could like release that like primal like disconnecty urge and drop in. Yes, it was happening to me. The sound, the lawn guys were happening to me. And so in that moment I said, okay, I'm aware. What can I do now? How can I make this into a lesson? How can I make this into going from the space of anger to gratitude? So I took my headphones, my little earbuds, just to kind of block out the noise a little bit. And I turned off the Bluetooth so it wouldn't play music. And then I started doing really deep Ujjayi breath. And when I did that, what happened was it got some stuck prana flowing through my body because I was a little tired this morning. I went to derby practice. We just started 3 nights practice a week now, plus my ashtanga, plus lifting weights a few times a week. So my body was tired. So by breathing in Ujjayi with those earbuds in, it kind of like made me into a little container. And so I just started vibrating with all this energy. And I thought, this was meant to happen. This was meant to happen. It's not happening to me. It was lessons because I needed to shift. This is something that I teach in my coach course, and I'm so fucking proud right now because, y'all, this isn't something that I just slap together and, it's like a template or whatever. This is stuff that I live. This is stuff that I work with clients. All the accumulated materials that I have, I'd say 90% of them at this point have been inspired from client cases, from my own personal inner work that I actually do, from inspiration that I've collected from other sources, but have processed it within me and sort of went through this inner alchemy to change it into something that makes sense. So when I present it, like I'm presenting it from within the framework of my body. I've tested it. I've tried it. So I'm super excited this coach round. I have an updated shadow work booklet and an updated outcome and goals cultivation booklet that helps you to find your goals and really reach them. So, and the shadow work I'm so excited about because it goes into shadow needs. It's like how to tap into that aspect, become aware of it. And then of course, stepping out of the drama triangle is going to be huge this time. So if you're interested in that, I have 1 spot left. Can you believe it? 1 spot left. It's from the 20th to the 27th of this month, January. So if you're listening to this podcast, like you have a week to sign up with me. Reach out to me, Erin at erincoach.com. If you're interested in it, talk to me. Let's make it possible. I'll talk you into it. I hope that you have a fantastic week. And thanks so much for listening. Hopefully the echo didn't get you too much. And I am just a tiny update. I am changing my body work room into a recording studio. So I'm going to be upgrading. I just have to get the table out of there. Hopefully somebody's picking up this weekend. All right. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@erincoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Last thing, we have a coaching certification coming up, and it's 7 days of an intensive work, followed by a 3-month mentorship. You will not find another teacher that's more passionate and dedicated than I am to my students and their learning, and not just their learning, but the application and how they show up in their life. If you've been listening to this podcast and it's had a huge impact on your life, just imagine what it would be like to spend 7 intensive days with me and then a 3-month mentorship. You can check that out at thriveyogafit.com/coach-certification. Again, thriveyogafit.com/coach-certification. Thank you so much. Namaste.